Welcome everybody to another live market analysis video that we're going to be doing, and webinar, of course, that we'll be doing here in the DeepView platform. I'm going to be walking through my full weekend routine. I've done no prep work, so this is completely from scratch. We're going to talk the overall market health. We're going to talk rotation. We're going to talk how to identify leading and developing themes. We're going to go through screening in DeepView, the key screens that I like to use, and my process, crucially, from going from screening to building a watch list to building a final focus list. A lot of people have questions about, how do I go from my universe of stocks to, 30 high potential ones down to a watch list of, 10 or so key names to watch early next week. That kind of funnel process is what you should be thinking of. And it's a crucial part of kind of your routine. In the chat right now, has anybody attended previous ones of these? Let me know. And did you find it useful? Did you enjoy it? Hopefully it helped kind of give you some ideas for your own process. Everybody's routine is going to be a little bit different. But my goal is to at least share my process, how I do things, so you can get a sense of how, you can make your process that much better. All right, a lot of people are saying very helpful, so awesome. Great to hear. And yeah, we're going to obviously be talking current markets right now, but I don't want you to just think about current markets, if that makes sense. I want you to kind of extrapolate what we're talking about to a larger procedure. Trading is, and building a trading system is all about establishing processes that help you consistently identify opportunities and identify, the overall environment. How likely are those opportunities going to succeed? And different setups are going to work well during different circumstances. I posted this on Twitter earlier, but this was the start of the market cycle here, where we gapped up above the 21 EMA, and it really got started back in here under the surface with some of the semi names. But the market cycle, the current uptrend, really kicked into gear right here. And early in an uptrend, sorry, I just had need some water here. Early in an uptrend, this is where breakouts are thriving. Nobody is expecting gaps and breakouts to work. And when there's a natural boost in the market where breadth expands early in a cycle, it lifts all boats. So that's where we get follow through, and follow through is key for buying breakouts, buying range breakouts, and having those succeed and get away from your price, your buy price as soon as possible. So that's when breakouts thrive. Later on in the uptrend, there's still going to be opportunities for breakouts after short consolidations, and we break out to new highs around this area on this turn. There's going to be pullback spots here as well. But once we get a little bit later in the uptrend, and we're kind of, in the later innings here, we've kind of started another consolidation process really since around June 3rd. So a few weeks into this now. Once we get more volatility, more chop, gap ups, gap downs, this environment is much less conducive to breakouts working because there's not much follow through. To get follow through, you need the market to be trending, really. But during this type of environment, there's going to be a lot of good pullback opportunities where we get a little bit stretched to the downside, we get an extension lower, and then we have upside reversals or positive expectation breakers at key levels in key names that are holding up better than the market, or in new areas, new themes. You often see a lot of rotation during a market like this. So again, the higher concept that I want to kind of start off with is breakouts work great during a new market cycle, those first few weeks, and selective spots during an uptrend. But once we get into more of a consolidation, you can see the DeepView pattern recognizing the base here. Once we get into a new consolidation, it's best to be selective first and foremost, but also focus a little bit more on pullback spots because you don't have that natural breadth expansion that helps, let breakouts work. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. Is that a new concept for you, or is this something that you're discovering in real time during this cycle? Let me know in the chat here. And right now, the market's doing nothing wrong. A consolidation is a natural part of the process. This is a 8% deep consolidation. That's pretty much textbook. That's right where we typically are. We're still above that 50 SMA. We'll see if we need a little bit more time here to build out. if we eventually break below the 50 SMA. But right now we had such a strong, April into May here. This is where progress is made. This is where it's a time to keep the profits that you made, consolidate, take a little bit of time away if you don't like summer trading, and just focus more on the next set of opportunities. What will be the next themes to really excel? And we'll talk about semis. We'll see if that theme still has legs for sure. They're still in uptrends for sure. But after consolidation like this, and the longer the consolidation happens, the greater the opportunities on the other side. This chop back in here, let me know, a show of hands, or just say yes in the chat. Did you get chopped up a bit in this period here, late last year or early this year? Let me know. Did you guys get chopped up? All right. Yes. A few yeses in the chat. Yeah. But this is 119 days of consolidation. We had chop to start with, and then we finally got kind of a negative catalyst that allowed the market to sell off, and that set up this amazing move here in April and May. So the longer consolidation goes for, the better the strong opportunities for a great trend lie on the other side. So welcome consolidations. They're part of the natural market cycle. And just as another aside, how do you determine a market cycle? I use the 21 EMA, which is this black line right here. That's kind of my guide. Obviously, a 30 SMA would work. A 20 simple SMA would work. Whatever works for your time frame. But for me, the 21 EMA is kind of my guide. And when we pop above the 21 EMA, that kind of starts the cycle. And then very simply, when we start to close and sell off below and into that 21 EMA, it tells me that the character of the market has changed a little bit. I have to kind of respect that as a trader. Don't trade as I was during, quite as aggressively as I was during this, because the shift goes from making new progress to keeping, what I made and stair stepping higher. That's the goal with your equity curve. During uptrends, make progress. And during, corrections, chop, consolidation phase, keep that drawdown within a manageable level. You're never going to prevent drawdowns completely, but if you keep it, near 10, 15%, that's pretty darn good, because it's pretty easy, or relatively easy, once you know what you're doing, to make that back quickly during a new uptrend. So the closer you can keep to those equity curve highs, the easier it is to, both mentally and financially, to make new highs once we come out of a consolidation pattern. So high level right now, and I should have started with this. The first thing I do as a part of my weekend routine is take a look at some key index ETFs. I look at the Qs, I look at the IWM to get a feel of those smaller cap names. I look at IBIT just kind of because I'm interested, and it's kind of risk on, risk off, but not quite. It's kind of uncorrelated at this moment. And then I also look at kind of the leading thematic ETF of the market cycle. And for now, it's SMH for semis. So again, we're starting here with the QQQ. The first thing I look at is, are we trending or are we consolidating? Right now, we are consolidating. We're under this key level. We're in a base, and we're below the 10 and 21 EMA. Just first and foremost, when we're below the 10 and 21 EMA, it's a time to be more selective and more on guard, more defensive for sure. And that also couples with, have we had gap downs recently? Is there an unfilled gap? Have we gapped up and then sold off? You want to look at kind of short-term patterns and see, are we strengthening as a whole, or are we weakening? And again, overall consolidation, we're testing that 50 SMA. That's a key level that we want to see it respect. But we are below that 10 and 21 EMA. So that tells me to be a little bit more selective, and just keep that in mind. When we're in a trending environment where we're trending above the 10, that's the best environment for breakouts, swing trading, all of that, to be aggressive, especially when it's above the 10 and 21 and 50, all lined up like that. But when we start to get those moving averages consolidating with price, that's a time to take the foot a little bit off the gas. You can still take those opportunities, but you want to recognize that maybe you're not using as much position size or trading as many positions as you were during this period. So again, the first thing I do is simply, are we trending or consolidating? Where are we with respect to the moving averages? And how does that kind of inform how aggressive I want to be as a result? And we're starting here with kind of top-down analysis. We're looking at the index level, we're going to look at the themes, then look at the stocks last. But I do a mixture of top-down analysis and bottoms up analysis. So as we go through it, I'm not only letting the index ETFs kind of inform my thoughts on the market, we're also going to look at the individual stocks themselves because often those are a leading indicator. But I think it's very helpful to look at both ends of the spectrum and kind of meet in the middle, do both top down and bottoms up analysis and get the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds. And some people say don't look at the indexes. I think they're fantastic for overall analysis. Are we trending or consolidating? And especially for people who don't have much time, top-down analysis is much quicker process, and you can get a great feel for the market just by looking at the QQQ every day and ask, are we trending or consolidating? Is recent price action positive or negative? And that's a great way to kind of do things. Okay, so after the Qs, I'll look at the IWM. This is the Russell 2000 ETFs. It gives a better sense of kind of what smaller cap names are doing. And we are seeing RS from the small caps right now, which actually, a lot of the names we trade are smaller cap. But recently, the best performing names are slightly bigger cap. So, this just tells you that those smaller caps are doing a little bit better. The QQQ obviously is very mega cap weighted, and the mega caps do not look good right now, to say the least. So that's dragging that whole index down. So it's good to get this perspective of the mid caps as well. Then I'll also look at IBIT. Before this is more of a risk on, risk off indicator. But right now it's doing its own thing and just, in a longer term stage 1/stage 4 and short term, we're seeing extension down. And I'd be interested to see, do we really progress below this low? We're kind of seeing an extension down into a key level. So there's potential for a trend change. But it's going to be a process. And this is by no means a leading theme as at this moment. It has to get above all the moving averages and really kind of build out this stage 1 and look to, break out into a stage 2. And that wouldn't really happen until we test this level and get it back above the moving averages, get back above the 200-day moving average. Then we could start a new stage 2. But right now, we're just seeing a potential shorter term trend change, and we're still below all those moving averages. Let me know you're in the chat right now. Any thoughts on crypto, that trend, anything you guys have been eyeing? But that's kind of how I interpret this chart. Then lastly, as I mentioned, SMH has been the leading theme. Again, very similar to the QQQ. This is when the trend really got going here on this breakout to new highs on April 8th. And we've basically been trending above the moving averages since. And we're still in an uptrend because we haven't really had two definitive closes below the 21 EMA. But if you look at the character of this ETF over the last 2 weeks or so, it's much choppier, it's wider and looser. Look how clean and orderly this was back in this area. And even this consolidation, it pulled back tightly to the 21 EMA, responded immediately. Here we're getting big volatility bars, negative closes, gap downs, gap ups that got sold off and then sold off the next day. So the character has changed a little bit for this. And I don't think this quite has the short-term potential that it did back in this area that does right here, or intermediate term potential. But we'll see. This is overall in more of a consolidation, and we'll see if it can build out, tighten up again, and then get going. But that remains to be seen. Down below here, you might have noticed I have the DFU net new highs, new lows. This is just kind of confirmation for me. Price and volume, or just price really on these indexes, is the most important thing. Where are we with respect to the moving averages? But you'll notice that great trends start with a burst of new highs. And you actually have new highs back in this consolidation here. But we want to see that on the start of a new uptrend. And often during the worst period of a correction, we start to see extremes and new lows. So that's how you can use that indicator here in DFU, excuse me. And then later in a trend, I don't pay as much attention to it just because it's more about how the individual stocks and leaders are acting personally. Okay, so that's a look at the index ETFs. And this is basically a dashboard, guys, by the way, that I have set up specifically for analyzing the market health. As a trader, we have kind of three main things we're doing. We're analyzing the overall markets, we're analyzing themes and, finding the leading stocks and leading themes. And then we're discussing, we're finding those market leaders, we're finding those next trade opportunities. So again, market, themes, stocks. This dashboard, and each dashboard I create has a specific use. This dashboard is for analysis of the overall market. So I have a watch list with those key index ETFs. I've got stage analysis on those ETFs. I've got new highs, new lows. So this is a specific indicator template and dashboard designed for market analysis. And this is the very first thing I review every single day, every single week to get that overall sense of, again, are we trending or consolidating? So that is the market analysis component. The next thing I do is take a look at the themes themselves. So in DeepView, we have the theme tracker, and I'm going to bring up my theme tracker with dashboard. So this dashboard, its goal is for theme analysis. That's kind of a step lower below market analysis. And the theme tracker is this over here on the left-hand side. Let me know in the chat. Are you guys familiar with the theme tracker? Do you guys use it? Do you guys find it useful? Let me know in the chat right now. But this is the theme tracker here. We've basically got a list of tradable themes, and we'll see rotation between them in different market cycles. Some will lead, some will, lag. That's just the nature of the game. So yes, there's a list of these key themes. Then what we have, and it's very simple but very effective, is you're able to look at the performance of those themes over different time frames: year to date, 3 month, 1 month, 1 week, and a daily basis. And daily, you can either look at since the prior day's close or since the open of the day. And I'll talk about when I use each in just a minute. But let's start with 1 month. This is probably the best hack tip strategy you can use if you're someone who doesn't have too much time to do the routines. Maybe you work full time, you're not able to trade full time, which is likely the majority of you. This theme tracker with the 1 month view is your ticket to finding rotation before everybody else, and have kind of that anticipation and know-how of where the puck is going and where you should skate to. So if you put this on a 1 month view, again, it's ranking all the themes based on performance. The top 5 to 6 themes here. So right now, genomics, airlines, home construction, biotech, healthcare, banks, and cybersecurity, those top 5, 6, 7 themes, those are your existing leading themes. That's where the opportunities are right now. That's what's been working. So that's a place to fish. And with the theme tracker, you can actually click into any of these themes. And let's do cybersecurity. You can click into that theme, and this is basically a watch list. You can spacebar through just like you can in any watch list. You can review their chart on the right hand side because I have the theme tracker here on the left and the chart on the right. And by the way, if you're using DeepView, this is a preset. Go down to this drop down menu, go to dashboard presets, top traders, and then this is called theme tracker with chart. So this exact setup you can use and load in about 5 seconds. So again, this acts as a watch list. So you can literally use this and spacebar through. And if any of these names are interesting, you can go ahead and click their logos and add it to one of your colored lists or add it to another watch list. So this is a great way to do top-down analysis, then looking at the themes themselves and then looking for the setups within the themes. So again, taking a step back, you've got the top 5 or 6 themes right now here in this list. You can go through each of these leading themes and spacebar through, look at their charts. And if there's a setup like this one is testing an IPO base here, you can add it to your watch list and look for an opportunity to get in. So that's a great way to do top-down analysis. Those are the existing leading themes. Like I said, the top 5 or 6 here. But if you want to have even more of an advantage, what I would say is you should, on a daily basis, and this would take, not that much time at all, you want to switch from a 1 month view to a daily view, and either using since the open or today. So today is from the prior day's close. Since the open is since today's open or the daily open. And the reason that you might want to look at one versus the other is to get more of a sense of the true nature of rotation. So rotation happens each day. There's going to be money flow into themes, out of themes. And what we're trying to do here with a daily view is track where rotation is flowing over the past 3, 4, 5 days, last week. What themes are getting flow into them. And we've got two options, like I said, the daily view and then the since the open. When I would use the since the open is when we have a big gap down, especially, and then you're seeing where's the money flowing after that opening price. So it's excluding that gap down and seeing kind of the true nature of rotation throughout the day. The daily view is kind of useful in all other situations. And, even if there's a gap down, you might benefit from seeing, what themes are acting well, just net since the close. So I look at both of these. Probably for the most part, I use since the open as kind of my default, but both are very useful. So like I said, the 1 month view is for the existing leading themes. And then the daily view, either since the open or just today from prior day's close. That's how you spot developing themes. And how you do that is you look at the daily view each day and you look for themes that are not in the existing top 5, 6, 8 themes on the 1 month view, and you look for themes that consistently over the past 1, 2, 3, 4 days are in the top here. So those are basically themes that are strengthening. And right now we're seeing software, genomics, healthcare, cybersecurity, social media, biotech, gold miners. So there's a few themes in here, software especially, that yesterday were a lot stronger, and we're seeing a lot of strong moves here. So this is actually a great time to be doing this webinar because we're seeing in the software names a strong push on Friday when the overall market was weak. So we're seeing rotation into software. So if that rotation persists, that means that software is a great place to fish for new trade ideas, whether you're a swing trader or position trader. Go through this list, spacebar through, look for setups. A lot of these popped on Friday. That means that they should be, on watch and reviewed for the next kind of tight area that forms, the next breakout that forms. A lot of them are moving off lows here. So likely they'll actually have a few additional spots, a few additional breakout opportunities, a few additional pullback opportunities if this theme really becomes a leading theme. So again, just to summarize, a 1 month view, the top 5 or 6 names are the existing leading themes. That's a great place to fish in. And then in addition, on a daily basis, as part of your routine, look for themes that are strengthening, standing out, that consistently are in the top here, and they aren't yet in the top ranks here. Maybe they're climbing. Those are a great place to fish as well and find, setups before everybody else. Does that make sense? Do you guys use a similar process here? Was this helpful? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Someone asked, what is the main way DeepView pays for itself? I think themes is a big one. Everything we have designed is specifically for momentum growth stock traders, from seeing earnings data, our screening capabilities, our advanced screening capabilities, the combo watch list. You can combine screens. There's a lot of features that help save you time. So if your time is valuable to you, DeepView is a great place to go if you're a growth stock trader and looking for a software specifically designed for you. And let me know in the chat, are there a lot of DeepView members in here today? Let me know if you guys use DeepView, and if you guys find it useful. All right, we got a lot of DeepView members. Awesome. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much. All right, cool. So that is the themes. So what are the leading themes right now? So our existing leading themes, and we've seen this rotation. I've been calling this out on Twitter as well as in the Trade Lab. Genomics, biotech, those have been the strongest themes over the last month or so. Genomics, a lot of these have already pushed quite a bit. They started showing themselves back in this area. I actually added to my leaders list LLY and a few other representatives to kind of track that rotation. But genomics, airlines, home construction, biotech, healthcare, banks, and cyber, those are the existing leading themes. And then some developing themes to keep an eye on, software. And then you see a few of the same. So genomics and healthcare continue to be very strong. Cyber also strong as well. Social media popping up here a little bit. So really software is the developing theme to keep an eye on. And like we said, this is a really cool time to be doing this webinar because we're clearly seeing that rotation in the theme tracker into software late last week. Okay. So once you've determined the key themes to watch, and I would kind of write this down um, each weekend or each day that you're doing this, you can just write down the top 5 themes here, 6 themes here. So genomics, airline, home construction, biotech, healthcare, banks, and then also write down the daily view software because that's kind of the developing theme that might catch your eye. And so write those down, and then as we go through the rest of our process, looking for setups, then we can keep that in mind and be laser focused and pay more attention when a stock that we're looking at and has a great setup is in one of those leading themes. This is how you find leading stocks in leading themes. And that's the whole name of the game, going back to Livermore, Wyckoff, Darvis, O'Neill, Minervini. All these top traders, market wizards, look for leading stocks in leading groups and leading themes. And this is the best way to do it. And I think this theme tracker is especially well suited to people who don't have that much time to do it because, again, it takes about 5 seconds to look at the top 5 themes here, and then a few more seconds to review the developing themes over here on this. So this is the second thing I do. And this is the theme tracker with chart. This is a great dashboard to open to have that workflow where you can dive deeper into software, spacebar through just like a watch list, and click the logo if you want to add one of these to a watch list like that. But I've also got another setup just called Theme Tracker. And what I have here, and what I usually have, is I have 2 Theme Tracker widgets because each of these is an independent widget. On dashboard, you have full flexibility to add any of the apps that we have here. But on the right, I've got the 1-month view. And then on the left, I have the daily view. So this is a very quick way to, again, leading themes, existing leading themes, potential developing themes. So I like having a dashboard with both these set up at the same time. So very quickly, I can see what those leading themes are. Because again, this is the whole name of the game. And this is another preset, by the way, called Duo Theme Tracker. So right here, Duo Theme Tracker. So go to the dropdown, dashboard presets, top traders, and then Richard Moglen Duo Theme Tracker. Make sense? Cool. All right. So we've done our high-level market analysis, looking at the index ETFs. We've determined where we were in a very strong trend. Right now, we're consolidating. We've seen some rotation here. What was leading was the semiconductors. That was the top theme for quite some time in this theme tracker. And I save the theme trackers kind of each day in my TradeLab report. So it's very cool to be able to go back and see the rotation as it progresses throughout those reports, those daily reports. Semiconductors are all the way down here. That we're just basically seeing in these theme trackers, the rotation into genomics, biotech, airlines, home construction, outside of semis for now. That doesn't mean that's going to be the case forever, but that's what we're seeing right now. That's what the money flow is right now. Okay, cool. So we've done market analysis, we've done theme analysis. The next step that I do is I have a watch list, and I'll maybe go ahead and save this, share this in the chat as well. I have a watch list called Leaders and Megas, and it's now June. It's almost July. So let me go ahead and just rename this. I'll rename this June, and then I'll change it next week. But there we go. So this is a watch list that I keep called Leaders and Megas, June, and just the current month. So basically the current leaders. So what I have in this watch list is I have the mega caps, and let me clear the sort from Tesla down to now SpaceX. And then what I have here, and I'll probably need to update this a little bit, is I have the theme leaders. So this top section is just the mega caps. So Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google. That doesn't change unless there's a $1 trillion IPO like SpaceX. So this hasn't changed in years. And now we've added SpaceX here. And then down here, this is the part of this list that does change week to week, month to month, cycle to cycle. You want to keep in here kind of representatives of key themes that you're watching. So I've got some genomics down here. I've got cyber software here. I've got some AI data centers. I've got a lot of semi names because that's what was leading. I've got a little bit of space in here as well, and semiconductor hardware, SNDK MU. These each are kind of representative of a leading theme in the market that has been powerful. So this, with rotation, will change a little bit. You don't want to be too quick to remove leaders, even if their theme isn't completely in vogue right now, because there can just be simply a pause in that theme and then rotation back into it, the next few days, the next week, whatever. So I don't change this list too much, but as I see clear rotation and rotation into what I consider a durable theme, then I'll update this list and add representatives. So as I saw genomics, biotech setting up, if you look at XBI, there's another thing I looked at. I saw this big base, setting up back in this area. These are auto drawn in, by the way, these pivots. As I saw this setting up and breaking out, that's when I decided to add to this list LOY, TXG, just to get a little bit more perspective on those names. And I'll probably be adding a few more genomics leaders and biotech leaders because there's been a lot that's, worked really well. I think Twist is a name that I might be adding here. So I think about what were the leading themes that I'm seeing in the theme tracker, and then how I decide what stocks to add to this list, because I get this question each time. I think about what are the best liquid, high potential names that represent that theme well. What are the top 2, 3, or 4 names that I want to add to this list? So for semiconductors, you've got AMD, ARM, Dell, Marvel, Intel. Those represent that semiconductor theme really well. For the memory names, SNDK, MU, those are the clear 2 names to put in, even though there's some other options, but those are the leadership quality names. So you want to think about liquidity. You want these to be very liquid, and you want them to be, very, very strong and something that you would want to trade. So it's got to have high potential. It's got to have decent ADR of, over 3.5%. Like I said, very liquid. So likely at least over $50 million volume is what I like to add to this list. And then again, you want to think of what are the top representatives of a theme that I want to put on this list. So this is a subjective list. Every trader is going to be a little bit different based on what themes you're focused on. But I think that overall process of thinking, what are the leading themes and what are the representatives I want on my list from each of those themes? That's how you build that list step by step. So let me actually go ahead and I'll share this. So leaders and mega caps. Let's see, leaders and mega caps June. I'll go ahead and share this list. I'll copy this link and I'm going to drop this link in the chat. So anybody who's using DeepView can just go ahead and click that and load it up. So let me know if that works in the chat, guys. So I just dropped that link and you should be able to just load that. All right, cool. All works. Cool. So yeah, that's a cool thing, by the way. If you're in a trading group and whatever, you guys can share watch lists back and forth. You can share screens, all of that. So definitely make use of that share link. Again, you just have to go to it in the drop down, click the 3 dots, and then click share, and that creates that share link for you. Okay. So again, this is my theme list. So each day, I'll go ahead and spacebar through each of these names. And as we go through these names, I'll give you kind of my raw thoughts as they come into my head. I don't know if it's going to be formed clearly, but it's going to be my raw thoughts. So Tesla, longer term consolidation, not a focus, below moving averages, good push on Friday. So potential for a base low to be in. This is a key low, but needs to get back above the moving averages and tighten for me to be interested at all from a trading perspective. Meta, just in a downtrend, again, needs to get back above the MAs. Microsoft, again, pointing to that software theme. So you see how these things connect. We're looking at the theme tracker. We're looking at the leaders from each theme. And then we're going to look at individual stocks themselves. And when you see, commonalities in the trend and price action, that tells you to pay attention to a theme. So this, to me, we've got extension down, big push up on big volume. This tells me software is kind of waking up a little bit, to keep an eye on software. So again, below all MAs, below the 200-day moving average, but potential short-term trend change here that could turn into an intermediate and longer-term trend change. We also have an undercut of this key low. So it's amazing how it's extension downs and reversals happen at these key levels. So keep an eye to the left of charts. So again, this just tells me software waking up a little bit. Apple, negative, very negative bar here. And then what do you guys think about this bar? Very negative bar here, but we're holding. We're not making much progress to my eye below this close. So to me, this just looks like the start of a base. And for me, like to my eye, having looked at a lot of bases, this would need time to build out and set back up. So even if this is the low, it's going to need a little bit of time. It has to get back above the moving averages. Maybe we shake lower and test the 200-day moving average one more time. But we'll see how this plays out. And obviously there is some catalyst in here that causes price action, the price increases, all of that. So we'll see how all those catalysts get interpreted by the market, and it'll show up in price and volume action. Amazon basing below the 200-day moving average, trying to reclaim it a little bit. Again, just needs to get back above the moving averages. Google below the moving averages. I thought this was holding up better than most, and it kind of was. But we're at new lows, and we'll see how we act next week if we can get back above the moving averages. Nvidia basing looks to test the key 200-day moving average level, but again, below the short-term moving averages, needs to get back above those. And then SpaceX, the IPO, very tight. And again, for IPOs, if you guys aren't aware, I like to change RMV from 15 to 5. RMV is just an objective measure of relative measured volatility. And right now on an RMV5 basis, it basically confirms objectively what we're seeing with our eyes. This is very tight. So this likely expands to the upside or to the downside next week. Unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know which way it's going to expand, but I can almost guarantee, even though I'm not going to guarantee, I highly think it's going to expand next week one way or the other, just by how tight this is relative to recent price action. And we'll see if it can push up and form an IPO base, or if we have more pain in the future. So again, no guarantees. I did not say that word, but likely this expands next week based on how tight this is. And that's what's helpful about RMV, is it tells you when to focus on a stock. It tells you there's likely going to be expansion, and expansion in reality is what we're looking for as traders, because we want price to get as far from our entry point as possible to build that immediate profit cushion. Immediate profit cushion gives us options. It gives us ability to absorb natural fluctuations. So that's why trading tight areas is helpful, because if we get immediate expansion, we're getting immediate profit. And that allows us to move up our stop to break even quickly, take a little bit off if that's our style. So that's why I like trading tight areas, just a complete aside. So for swing traders, day traders, this could be in play for next week for an expansion move. Again, this is a new IPO, very volatile. So you want to more date this than think about marrying this stock right now, because this is the IPO boom phase. We'll see if it forms an IPO base and all of that. But recent IPOs, they can make great moves, but they're very short lived. So you have to be quicker with your with everything, your entries as well as your exits, more prone towards selling some into strength, locking some in, all that. So SpaceX, one to watch for shorter term traders next week, because we're likely seeing expansion. Okay, so that's SpaceX. Let me bring back just my normal RMV. So SNDK, very strong trend, the strongest stock in the market, but choppy. Last week we had the MU earnings in negative action Friday, but it has not broken the 21 EMA. So benefit of the doubt until it breaks below that 21 EMA. But for me to really be interested in this name, it needs a fresh base. It needs a fresh tight area, pull back to a moving average where it tightens and looks and gets eyeballs off of it, all that. So analysis is trending, looks decent, short term choppier, and more volatile. MU, basically a mirror image. Again, you have that catalyst next week, the greatest earnings report ever seen. But it's later in its trend. Everything's in context. If this report happened here in the space and we gapped out of it, that would be the number one focus for our style of trading. But in context, this earnings report has happened when it's already a little bit longer in the tooth with its trend. So one to keep an eye on for the next kind of setup, but again, not a huge focus, but overall trending above the 21 EMA. BE, this is one to note of. This has obviously been one of the best stocks over the past few years, riding that kind of AI energy wave, but we had a key downside reversal and follow through down. So negative action. I think this got removed from an index, I believe. But regardless, price is news. We have a downside reversal at the pivot. That's your warning sign. If you're trading it from this undercut and reclaim, as well as, at the 50 SMA, likely you're taking some off, maybe you took some off into strength right here. You're taking a little bit more off here and then getting kicked out of the last bit here. But this is a pretty significant decline. And to use this measure tool, I get this asked a lot. I hold shift, click and drag, and that allows you to measure and see price performance from a point. So that's what I'm seeing. So this is a 30% drop in 2 days. That is significant. And to me, with the failed breakout, it suggests that we need a little bit more time here and to be cautious around BE unless we, have a stick save and we have a POSX breaker, we reclaim here. But it needs to form up again for me, for my style. So we'll see how BE acts. RKLB, just, below MAs. I'll probably remove this from the theme leaders here recently, in a few days, unless the theme really wakes up. If SpaceX rallies, I'll keep this on to watch it. But this theme, was one of the best leading themes during this time here with PL as well. I kicked that off, a few weeks ago, but this is now below all the moving averages. But sometimes it's good to keep leaders on your screen to monitor those themes as well. So RKLB below MAs, we have extension down, a little bit of consolidation here. So potential for a trend reversal. If SpaceX goes, this probably goes as well. But, we'll see what happens with RKLB. Dawkin, a little bit too tight for too long here. Now below the 50 SMA. We'll see if it responds next week. Intel tightening near this pivot. So holding up reasonably well. And a little bit tighter than SNDK and MU. And very tight day. So we'll see if we can get some expansion early next week, whether it's the downside or to the upside. Marvel, very strong stock. Again, I'd like to see it tighten a little bit more within the space. It's on the 21 EMA, so we could see some response here. But look at this bar. What do you guys see in this bar? Let me know in the chat. Let's see. What do you guys see about this bar? Tightness, tight, right? So it's got a smaller range than normal and tight open to close, but we've got a gap down, but we gapped down and held. So there's potential for more expansion early next week, whether that's to the downside or the upside. But we've got a little bit of tightness here to keep an eye on here with Marvel. AMD looks pretty good, and there's a range pivot that's automatically being drawn. Can watch for expansion early next week. We'll probably add that to our watch list later. AMD, ARM. And by the way, this theme leaders list, in my regular screening, when I'm actually thinking about new setups, if I see a leader even kind of close to setting up, I want to add it to my list because these should always be the priority. Existing leading theme leaders should always be your priority for entries because they have the most potential. That's why they're on this list. They're the leading stocks in the leading themes. So definitely check that out. Also, I see some questions in the chat. If you're looking to join DeepView, shoot an email to hello@deepview.com and ask for the webinar offer, and we'll make you a great deal. So again, if you're interested in joining DeepView, you're not already a member, email us at hello@deepview.com and mention the webinar offer. And again, we'll make you a really good deal to check us out and try us out. So again, and let me know if you need me to repeat that. Maybe I'll drop it in the chat. hello@deepview.com. So that's the email to basically communicate with us that you're interested in trying it out. And definitely recommend checking us out. Okay, so here's AMD again. ARM just consolidating overall below MAs. Dell on the 21 EMA. We'll see if we can get some response here. MXL looks interesting for next week. So we're moving a little bit higher. So I'd love to see an upside reversal, tight day here. But you've got a little bit of tightness and we're drawing that range pivot automatically. And this short-term setup is within the context of a larger basing pattern. So this is a 22-day consolidation. We're setting up below these pivots. So this would be one, again, that we'll probably put on our watch list for later as well. NBIS, gap down, hold, but below that 21 EMA. It looks a little bit weak and wide and loose. HUT setting up a little bit within this base. Crowd, all these kind of popped late last week. They were on my watch list the day before. LOI, look at this expansion. So again, we're seeing genomics, biotech. that theme really excelling. And you can see also the GIX classification down here in the watermark. You can see what themes each of these are a part of as well. And TXG just trending nicely as well. So those are the theme leaders. Overall, we're seeing the semi names consolidate at varying points in their consolidation. We're seeing space a little bit weak, but potential for some moves next week. SNDK, MU have to absorb this earnings report and see how that gets interpreted. And we're seeing genomics continue to excel. And really look at this move from LOI. I don't know the average range of LOI. Let's see. The average range is 3.3%. And this was a basically 2 to 3 average ATR move on Friday. So this is significant. We're seeing rotation into this area, and probably in a few weeks or over the next few weeks, we're going to start to see narratives about how AI is completely changing drug discovery and all this stuff, which is likely true. But basically, stocks need a reason to move, and we'll see first the price action, and then we'll get the narratives later. But keep an eye on this theme over the next few weeks and months. Um, Biotech is not my favorite theme to trade. I prioritize biotechs that have, if I open up the stats table, that they're profitable. But look at this growth in LOI. Wow, this is significant growth. So let's take a look. Big base, basically a fresh breakout. This move in LOI could have legs. So likely there's a 2x version of LOI that could be worth trading. But what I was saying is I prioritize biotechs that have real earnings and sales. Um, that doesn't completely eliminate risk because anything can happen. But with the smaller cap biotech names, there's a lot of risk of gap downs based on trial news. So know what you're trading. Recognize that there's always risk with bios. And you got to manage risk with position sizing with biotechs. So if you are gonna, dive into that realm, just keep all that in mind. And again, I try to focus on ones that have real earnings and sales. And yeah, I'm pretty amazed by this LOY earnings and sales growth. This is significant from a mega cap. So we'll see, how this acts, but likely this is the start of a move. So you can watch this for the next pullback or all of that. 1.1 trillion. No, this almost belongs in the mega caps here. Yeah. So let's close that up. So that's the theme leaders. So again, so far, what have we done? We've looked at the overall market index ETFs. We've looked at the theme tracker, and we've looked at the mega cap and theme leader watch list. All that tells us a lot about rotation. There's rotation into the cyber software names. There's continued rotation into the biotech ones. There's some rotation out of some areas. And we also overall have some mega caps that are relatively weak. So that gives us some input. And looking at the index ETFs, looking at the QQQ, we're in a consolidation phase. So the consolidation phase plus the weak mega caps tells you it's not necessarily a time to be really focused on aggressive trading in the tech space. But we're seeing rotation into some areas, biotech, which may lie some opportunity. So that's how we piece everything together, and we're building a case for our situational awareness. We're taking different inputs here and there to build, where we should be focused on as traders. All right, is this helpful so far? Any questions about the theme tracker, theme leaders list? Drop in the Q&A right now, and I want to answer some of that. But let me know in the chat. Just has this been helpful? What's been your biggest takeaway so far? What are your guys' thoughts? Give me a little bit of feedback here as I get some water. All right, super helpful. Yes, this will be uploaded on YouTube for you guys to watch. Good stuff. Okay, cool. Very helpful. Awesome. Yes, always focus on the leading themes. Those are most important. Yep, markets, themes, leaders. If you just repeat that, you'll become that's how you trade. Cool. Settings for my indicators. So for base pivots, and you can kind of screenshot this, or as we put on the replay, you can pause this and look at it. But I've done individual tutorials for each of these. So this is my base pivots indicator. My RS line is the 21 EMA is my signal line. This is the 1 month RS rating here. So in DeepView, you can now put the RS rating right in here. So let's go ahead And this is the 1 month RS rating here. And then there's the RS line. And you can configure this with multiple moving averages, all of that. This is the 10 EMA, this is the 21 EMA, this is the 50 SMA, and this is the 200 SMA. This is the enhanced volume. I like seeing the dollar volume here and the up-down volume ratio. And then this is RMV, and I've done many webinars on RMV. Let me know in the chat, do you guys use RMV? Do you guys use the RMV pivots? Let me know if you guys find that useful, but that's my overall setup. And I'll probably do another webinar on this overall setup. Just an updated one, but that's the long and short of it here. And RMV pivots is, here's my settings for that. Because I do like to see a little bit of persistence here to make sure it keeps drawing it. So RMV pivots is based on, just a quick aside here, RMV pivots is based on RMV, which is mapping the objective tightness and expansion of the stock. This is something I developed years ago. And I find it very useful to have an objective view of price action, tightness, and expansion, because this is something that is very important for my trading style. I trade from tight areas and around tight areas because we can get that natural expansion from those areas. So RMV pivots automatically draws ranges for you. And the key here, in my settings, I only draw the latest 2 pivots to keep things clean. But this was the RMV pivot here that yielded a great trade. So this was a strong stock, recent catalyst, just broke out to new highs. Then it tightened on the 21 EMA, set up this RMV pivot. This showed on this day. So this is something that you can look at during your routine. You've got a strong stock making new highs, now consolidating, tightening near the 21 EMA. Semi theme was on fire here. And then you buy the breakout here. We had a gap down, push through the pivot. That's your entry. Set your stop below the day or just below the 21 EMA. We get immediate follow through. That's the best sign a breakout is going to work. And then this was like a 60% move in just a few days. So RMV and RMV pivots help you spot those tight areas and really focus on that on your chart. So that's how you can use RMV pivots. And I've got a tutorial completely on that, but that's just a quick aside there. And like I said, I like just having the last 2 RMV pivots drawn because that highlights the more kind of relevant ones. Now that trade is passed, there's no real point in drawing that over there except for teaching purposes. Okay. Cool. There's a question here from Mohit. Say we identified 2 to 3 upcoming themes. How do we identify 2 to 3 thematic leaders? You would look at the weekly moves, market cap. Can you explain a bit? So let's say you've got software as a developing theme. Let's use that as an example. What I would then look at is look at all the software names and look for a stock that has shown the ability in the past to make a big move, has a higher ADR, is liquid, and trades cleanly against the moving averages. So in prior trends, it likes to persist and bounce off the 10 EMA, the 21 EMA, and show support to those areas. So we're looking a little bit for an institutional quality name. We also want to consider, again, the pattern it's coming from. So ARM, this move, which really started back in here, this move is within, as it completed a monster base. So a monster base, a big base, a breakout to new highs, those tell you more that there's leadership potential and the potential for a very strong trend. So BE, this has made a huge move over the past, this has been 1,000% move. This is coming from years of consolidation, and then the catalyst ignited it and got it on your radar. So we're looking for a stock that has big potential. It's got recent catalyst. That's a big thing. So ARM developed their own AI chips before that move happened. BE is an amazing solution for the AI energy needs. So it should have recent catalysts, a reason that it is likely to move, the ability to change the way we work, live, and play. That's kind of what we think about as leaders. To use 2020 as an example, during that environment, Zoom was changing the way we work, live, and play. We're still using Zoom right now. It's not a good stock anymore, but it was game changing in that instance. And it's allowed you to connect to your families. It allowed you to connect to school, your education, your workplace. So that's the caliber of stock we're looking for, is that it has the ability to completely change lives for a large amount of people. LOY with the GLP-1s and all that stuff and future drugs has the ability to change the way we work, live, and play, more the live aspect of it. So those are a few criteria, but also it's the price action. Has it made a strong move in the past? And LOY is a big cap. So you really want to see stocks that during trends can make at least a 40, 50, 60% plus move, but also train in an orderly manner. So it's a little bit of the character of the stock, but it's all those things I've talked about combined. And likely, it's kind of the go-to names. So in the cybersecurity names, you've got Crowd. That's what I view as the kind of leader of that theme, because it has the ability to make big moves and it trades in that orderly manner. And this was coming out of a pretty big base. So those are a few things I think about when considering, okay, this is a developing theme. How do I find the top 2, 3 names in that theme? Let me know, was that helpful? Let me know if that was a good explanation, or if you'd want a little bit more elaboration on that. How do we differentiate from a new theme due to short covering versus a new prolonged bull trend? Um, so there's a few different questions in there. A new theme will be emerging theme wide. So all the charts will look very similar. All the software names that we looked at in the theme tracker. Let's just go back to that for just a second, because this is an important point. And let me go with theme tracker with chart. All this whole theme, look at how they acted together on Friday. So some are pushing off lows, some are kind of pushing off lows within bases, but they all share the kind of same look to them. And that look, when they're all in bases, compressing off moving averages, and then break out, when all that is setting up together, that tells you that likely there's going to be a move for a few weeks, few months in that theme, versus just a 1-day pop in some smaller cap names that gap up and then fail. And that's more just a short covering in a few names. So we're looking for theme wide, all the charts setting up similar, and starting moves. That's how all the semis looked before this great move. WDC, SNEK, MU, STX, all of them set up the same before this big move. So look for the sister stocks acting well together and setting up together. And then ideally there's a catalyst within the theme. A theme is only gonna, the trend of a theme is only gonna persist as long as big institutions want to keep adding to it. And why do they do that? Because there's new information, new catalysts coming to light. So that's what creates a durable theme, is strong catalysts keep appearing. So AI has provided catalysts for semis for the last 3 years. That's why there's been model book moves in that area. So when you're thinking about themes as well, you want to think about themes that have continued catalysts. And genomics, has plenty of catalysts due to drug discovery, due to AI. Software, AI allows you to be more efficient, improve margins, all of that, grow your business. So those are what things to think about as well. Uh, yeah, we also, I see a question there. We also have ranks. So this looks at this is a more kind of numbers way to look at themes and trends and rotation. But I did want to highlight this for people to be aware of it. If you're not aware, this looks at the GICS breakdown. So GICS breaks it down to sectors, groups, industries, and sub-industries. You can rank them on a time frame. So on a 3-month rank, you've got that ranking. 1-month ranking, you got this. This is just by the actual ranking. Then here on the right-hand side, this is the same groups and industries, but instead of ranking by the overall performance, you have by rank change. So this allows you to spot which sub-industries are jumping up the highest in terms of performance since the last time we updated the information. So, healthcare, big jump, home improvement, retail, big jump here on a 1-month basis. So this allows you to see rotation in another way. This uses the GICS method. This uses the theme tracker. They'll kind of show the same way, and this is more visual and I think better for people who just want an overall picture. Well, if you want to dive into the weeds of things, you can, use this. And again, you can dive into the stocks within them as well. So Yeah, but we've got the rankings as well. So if you're looking for a ranking of all the sub industries, sectors, whatever, you can choose whatever you'd like here and see that information. All right, cool. Share ranks with us. So I'll make a preset with this, but you can make this in 5 seconds. So let's go ahead and create a new dashboard. So I'll just show you how to do it. So create new dashboard. We've got a blank canvas. You can either add a ranks widget using this button, or you can always use the add apps button in the top right. Let's give that a click. Then we could just find ranks here, and we can also just search. So industry ranks, let's click that. It's added, exit out. Let's drag that out. Right now it's looking at sectors. To change that to sub industries like I had it, just click that. And to sort by 1 month, boom. So we did that in about 10 seconds. So again, just create a new dashboard, add it using the list here, and then just change this to what you'd like. Some people prefer groups and industries, so that's bigger buckets versus this is more granular buckets, industries here. And then on a 1 month basis, you've got you could sort by this, and you can click and change settings by basically changing the columns. If you want a daily view, 1 week view, you could take off 12 months, 6 month if you don't use those. But that's how you use the sub industry ranks widget. So hopefully that was helpful. And yeah, I will I'll go ahead and make a preset for that as well. Okay, cool. All right. Chart setup, I can't share with you just yet. I'll make a video on it, but we're going to be adding kind of chart templates. So just like a screen and watch list, you'll be able to save a chart template and share it with somebody else. Would that be useful to you guys? Would you guys want to be able to, share chart templates, download mine directly in a few clicks? Let me know in the chat if that would be helpful. All right, a lot of yeses. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so let's get back on target. So we've looked at the index ETFs, we've looked at the themes, we've looked at the theme leaders. All that gives us some great perspective on where money is flowing, where to focus on. Now the last step is to look at the stocks themselves and build our watch list. Basically, look for opportunities, right? And as we screen, there are two objectives of screening. The first is what I just said, is to find ideas and setups for the next week. That's a given. The second is to do that bottoms up approach where not only are we looking at the stocks for setups, but we're also kind of looking at, stocks that are moving big and using that to help inform our rotation, the leading themes, all of that. So if we see standout price action and we want to make a note of that, make a note of what the theme that stock is in, because again, that helps you focus on themes before everybody else, is by looking at the stocks themselves and noticing a big gap up on volume, a move across many names in a sub industry together. That helps you show you where rotation is flowing. So let's go ahead and start this process. So we're going to go to the screener module here. This is where you can screen in Deep View. I've got my favorite screens that I use up here at the top. Deep View leaders, if I'm only going to use one, this is like my go-to growth stock screen. It shows about 200 to 300 or so stocks. And these are stocks that are making momentum moves. They've got high RS. If you're a growth stock swinger position trader and just want to look at one screen, this is a great universe to fish in. So this is the Deep View leaders preset. To load that, you would click this drop-down menu, go to screener presets, go to Deep View, and then go to Deep View leaders. And to add it to the top, like I have it, click this bookmark icon. So if I wanted to bookmark a Deep View universe, I would click this. But Deep View leaders, I've already got it bookmarked, and that's why it shows at the top here. All of these are bookmarked, and I'd highly recommend that for screens you run every day, because then it's as simple as clicking to load it. Click, load, click, load. So the main ones I use each day are Deep View leaders, which is like, again, that great universe of growth stocks. Momentum leaders, which is more looking for those fast moving names. So very high RS, top performers over the last month, over the last 3 months, recent gaps. That will show up on momentum leaders. Liquid leaders is similar to DeFi leaders, but it requires a little bit more liquidity. So these are more your very liquid names. So again, if you're someone who does this part-time, you want to focus on stocks that are a little bit more liquid. That's going to be that'll help reduce your frustration, help you manage positions better, all of that. So the liquid leaders, which is, and all these are presets, that's a great place to start. And then I also have the IPO 2 years. So these are companies that have IPO'd over the past X days, and really over the past 2 years or so. And this helps you spot the SNDKs early. This helps you spot, the SpaceX, the FPSs early. So this is a great place to also fish in. So those are the main 4 screens. I also look at gaps and strong moves. So these are stocks that are making big moves on volume, and not all of these are actionable. But this is how you spot kind of catalyst gaps, and then you can go ahead and look more into the catalyst behind a move. So mRNA, this is a stock I've been watching. It was on the watch list before this move. There's another great breakout again in the biotech sphere. So you'll just see themes evolve if you have a consistent routine each day. But that's what's important, is whether your routine is looking at the theme tracker, whether it's looking at hundreds of stocks, you want to set up a daily and weekly routine that you can do consistently, because that's where the magic is. That's where you start to spot trends before everybody else, is by having a set routine that you trust, that you value, that can basically save you time. And that's where I think DeFi excels, is setting up those workflows, those routines, so quickly you can analyze indexes, themes, and individual stocks. So definitely set up a routine if you don't have one already. And hopefully me going through my routine gives you ideas for how you can do yours. Is there a big difference between your weekly and daily routine? Not for me. So I'm more swing trade time frame. I do the same thing that I'm showing today every single day. And I use it to do my homework, to write the Trade Lab report. Let me know if there's any Trade Lab report members in here. Good to see you guys. But I do that same process every single day. If you're more of a position trader, you might not have to redo your routine each day, but each week you should have a day where you just set aside and really get familiar with rotation. Wow, a lot of Trade Lab report members. Awesome. Cool. Good to see you guys. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I do the same routine every single day. But if you're a position trader, you might only have a weekly routine where you do a lot of the screening work, all of that. And then on a day-to-day basis, maybe you just track your overall watch list and your positions. So depending on your style, your routines are going to be a little bit different. Depending on your life, it's going to be a little bit different. But find something that works for you, helps you stay on top of the leading themes, the best opportunities for your style, and just stay in tune with the market. Cool. All right. Cool. I see some questions about Trade Lab report. I'll talk about that at the end. Where you can get it. Cool. All right. So let's get back into it. So like I was saying, these 5 screens are my main ones. So the DeFi leader screen, momentum leader screen, liquid leader screen, IPO 2 years wide, and then gaps and strong moves. Those are the main ones I use. I have this go-to pullback screen. I think I need to update it actually, but this is when, I focus more on pullbacks. A lot of stuff is pulling back into the 21 EMA. I might run this one, but in general, these 5 are my top ones. And if you're only going to use one, again, I'd recommend the DeFi leaders one. So again, if you're looking for a great universe, DeFi leaders is the way to go. You could either even limit it even more by going over to, let's do basically RS rating 3-month, sort by that, and then only looking at the top 50 or so of this list. These are going to be your, price performance leaders, Intel, Marvel, MU, ALAB, SIMO. A lot of these are semis, which you can see using the industry here. But, if you want to limit your universe even more, you could add a 12-month RS rating, or here is a 3-month AS rating, absolute strength rating, and only focus on the top 50 or 100, whatever that number is. But the DeFi leaders, if you're only going to run screen, I'd highly recommend checking that out. I spent a lot of time creating this. The logic is pretty darn cool, and it does a really good job of finding the leaders of each cycle. It pointed out the semis. I found SNDK from the DeFi leaders list. It's shown the bios emerging. Let me know in the chat, if you guys are existing DView users, do you guys use the DView leader screen? Do you guys find it helpful? Let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. But again, if I could only run one screen for the rest of my life, it would be the DView leader screen. Use it daily. Awesome. Very helpful. Perfect. Yeah, great to hear. So again, these are the top 5 screens that I use. So there's going to be a little bit of overlap between them, but there might be a few stocks that have that are different. And you know, if you review each of these screens one by one, if there's a lot of duplicates between them, that's just wasted time. So there's another way that I think DeepView really excels is you can combine the results of each of these screens together and then just look at the net list. So it removes the duplicates for you. So let's go ahead and create a watch list to do that. And we're going to start from the leaders list and incorporate that as well, because we want to see the leaders as well. So let's go ahead and leaders and Medcaps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the watch list module, go to your leaders list or kind of your universe list or a list of stocks that you always want to show up in this overall list. Then we're going to click the 3 dots here and click combine. This is where the magic happens. So let's click combine. That brings up this pop-up, which allows you to select different watch lists and screens to combine into one master list. So again, this helps us save time by removing duplicates that would show up on an earnings screen and a price and volume screen. All those different sources, you can combine them into one resulting list. So let's go over to, so selected over here, there's going to be a list of the inputted watch lists and screens that are already a part of it. And then let's go find the DeepView leaders. So let's search DeepView leaders presets. We'll add that. Let's add the IPO. I think that's mine. IPO 2 years wide. We'll add that as well. Let's add the liquid leaders. So it's under presets. So liquid, if I can type liquid leaders. So you see all the lists that we're adding in here. And let's add the momentum leaders as well. So again, this is the list of screens that we've got. Let's also do gaps and strong moves. We'll add that as well. So this is the list of stocks that we have selected. This will be the name of the watch list that you create. And so just to talk through again what we're doing here, we're removing the duplicates and thus saving time of having to review one stock over, you know, multiple times. We're combining all these lists and screens into one master list that then we'll go through and do our routine. So let's go ahead and click create. And there we go. So now we've got a list of about 510 names to go through. All right. All that clear? Let me know. What do you guys think about the combo list feature? Do you guys use it? But everything clear on that process. We just combined all these 5 screens together into one overall list. So now we're going to go through and do our routine on this. I do not know about this. I scan Christian Kwalamagi 1 month, 3 month, 6 month individually, and it's annoying to see the same again and again. Thank you for the combo list. Yep. That's exactly what's for. Is if you review multiple screens every day in your routine, just combine them into one, and that way you can just go through that once. Cool. And by the way, right now we're going to be adding this. Is right now you can't exclude a list, but that's a question that comes up quite a bit. We'll be adding that feature, but right now you can just combine multiple lists into one. But there's no exclude feature just yet. When you're making a screen itself, just to show something quick, I'll just create a new screen real quick. Test alt. When you're creating a new screen, we've got a watch list folder down here, which allows you to include and exclude lists. So you can literally screen on a watch list if you want it. You can screen within that universe, or you can exclude stocks from a list to show up on a screen. So that's how you can do that on a screen level. Just want to show that you could do that here in DeepView. But okay, let's go back to our list. So we're, again, just to recap high level, We've looked at indexes, we looked at themes, we've looked at the theme leaders. Now we're going to look at the stocks themselves. We've done the top-down analysis. Now we're going to do the bottoms-up analysis and actually find stocks to trade. Our goal, first and foremost, using this list, the first thing I do is I'll go ahead and do a sort by percent change current week. So I have my column set up here. These are basically the key data points that I like to use on a day-to-day basis and week-to-week basis. And I have a saved column set with all of these. This is fully customizable in DeepView. You can change this however you'd like. And I'll go ahead and share this in the chat as well. So I'll go ahead and copy link. Auto sync is on. So if I make changes, it will change yours as well. But let me go ahead and where is the chat here? Where's the chat? There we go. I'll share the link to this data column set as well. So you'll be able to use that. But basically, I have the key data points, percent change, the current week. I like having the sub industry as there because I can see those themes as they pop up. I've got RMV because RMV is almost more useful as a screening data point to focus on those tight stocks first. And I'll show you exactly how to do that in just a minute. I've got percent change from the open, percent change today, run rate, which is relative volume. So even at 935, you'll see a volume is running, twice as fast as normal. So this helps you see institutional flow by seeing what stocks are experiencing abnormally large volume, even from minute one of the day. Run rate will show you that. So we've got both run rate, which expresses it as a percentage, and the relative volume. So RV 20 day. It's the same data point, just one is like a factor. So if volume is running twice as fast as normal, relative volume will be 2.5, whatever. This would be 200%, 250% or whatever. So it's the same way of expressing the same data point. I just like percentage better. I've got price percent change from the low. I've got price versus the 20 day. I think I should actually delete this. I think this is just for testing purposes that I've got this. And to delete it, just click the gear icon and you can just exit out. I've got DCR, WCR, volume. So how this lines up vertically will show up horizontally here. And you can reorder these, by the way. So you can move them around, all that. And that changes it in real time, guys. So it reorders it in real time. So it's helpful to kind of order this how you would suit your use case. So the first thing I do when I bring up this master list is I sort by percent change current week. And let me exit this out. So to sort by a column, you click it once to get highest to lowest. You can click it one more time to do lowest to highest. And you can click it one more time to clear the sort. Or if you have any sort created, you can always click this number here that shows up next to the gear icon. So if I move this, it's always in the same place. Right now it shows a 1. That means that the watch list or screen is being sorted by one data point. You can always click that to clear your sort. So if anything seems weird, just make sure that you clear that first and foremost. So let's sort by percent change current week. This allows you to review the biggest movers of the last week. And there's some, very low price names that because of the momentum leaders names are on this list. So you can just kind of ignore that. But I like to review this each week to kind of see what did I miss, or if I didn't miss it, did I capture some of the best movers of the week, the best opportunities of the week? So this is similar to Pradeep Bandey's kind of 20% study, where you're looking at the best performing stocks over the last week. What setups did those moves start from? Were they created by catalysts? Were they gap ups? Were they breakouts? What theme were they in? That's a big one. So we're seeing 4 of the top 7 are biotech/pharma. And if you look at this, all the biotechs are blue. So what that actually does, and this is a cool thing that DeFi does as well, is within a watch list or screen, the most common sub-industry within that list of stocks, we color that sub-industry blue. So that's another way to spot leading themes. There's little things in DeFi that we incorporate that make a difference. I promise. It's subtle things, but it helps you streamline your workflows. It helps outlier things stand out. And that's the whole game of trading, is looking for outlier setups, stocks, all of that, themes as well. And this helps you spot outlier themes. So again, the top performing stocks on the week, we've got construction, which we saw with home builders. We've got application software. We saw that as a developing theme. And biotech is 4 out of the top 6. So the same things we saw with Theme Tracker, we're seeing in the stocks themselves. So there's a way to corroborate exactly what we're seeing in the Theme Tracker, looking at the stocks themselves. So again, we can just kind of look and see each of these stocks and what theme they're in. And I like to review again, I just kind of blaze through these and look again, what theme are they in? If there's a lot of biotech, that tells me there's rotation into biotech. I look for what setups they came from. Apps, nice kind of power move here. So I look what setups they emerge from, and I'll probably go down to about 15%. I'll go through, and I'm just making a note of what themes are showing up again and again, what setups are showing up again and again, because again, this is going to help you spot the leading themes rotation before everybody else. Do you guys do something similar to this? Is this cool? Kind of sorting by percent change current week, and then looking at what sub industries, what stocks, themes are setting up together. Is this useful to you guys? Let me know. On a daily basis, I'll just sort by, instead of percent change current week, I'll sort by percent change today, and then I'll just see what was the biggest mover today. It's the same idea. I'll drag the sub industry around there so I can see what sub industries were strongest on the day. And that's something I do on a daily basis, but on a weekly basis, I'll do percent change current week. So this is the first sort I do. And the goal of this is more to corroborate what we're seeing in the theme tracker. What themes are strong, what stocks are standing out. If there's a big, move here, like Blaze here, I'll use kind of the right click ask AI to investigate more. So let's actually show that in real time. So in Deep View, and we're still developing this feature and tweaking the prompt, but I'll go ahead and right click this gap up day. And then in the menu, I'll do ask Deep View AI. And this tells the Deep View AI to go investigate what happened on that day and try to find catalysts. So there's nothing big that came up. June 23. Oh, there we go. So June 23, there was a CoreWeave agreement. So this helps you spot catalysts and investigate more about them. So there's a big partnership with CoreWeave on this day. So this is where Deep View AI can really help you. And again, the workflow is just whenever there's a big gap up or big breakout, there's obviously a catalyst. So you basically right click on that bar and then click Ask Deep View AI. And that will automatically run the research and pick out the key catalysts like this. A lot of people are just not aware of this, so I wanted to highlight this today. And we've got the whole Deep View AI infrastructure built out where you can create your own prompts. If this prompt doesn't work well for you, you could create your own prompt that when you notice something like this, you basically say, research what happened with Blaze on June 23, look for partnership agreements, look for recent product announcements, whatever it is. You could create your own prompt and add it to your My Prompt library. You create a prompt by clicking here. So just like you can create screens in Deep View, you've got this whole AI infrastructure at your disposal. And you can basically create your own prompt and quickly access it here. Deep View AI, you open it up by clicking this button here. And by default, you could ask some follow-up questions here. We've also got, just like the screen presets, we've got market analysis prompt presets, theme analysis prompt presets, stock analysis prompt presets. So all this is at your disposal. And one thing, let me see, let me go ahead and rename this to, let's call this, what's today? June 28th tutorial. Let's click save. So now this is June 28th tutorial, this list of stocks that we've got, and I'm going to make a new chat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this whole list of symbols to the AI. So I'm going to do the @ symbol, and I call this June 28 tutorial. So by clicking the @ symbol and then typing that, I'm now passing this list of stocks to the AI. So it's got that context. I'm going to say, identify the key themes present on this list, and in 3 sentences, explain the theme. Then for each theme, list out the symbols explicitly from this list that is a part of the theme. So what we're doing here is we're actually using the AI to identify the leading themes in this list. So let's go and run this. And again, we're still tweaking the prompt. So if it doesn't work perfectly, we'll try it again. Yep. So there we go. Let's do it again. Let's ask it again. So again, June 28th tutorial, identify the top 5 themes from the list. Let's try this prompt here. There we go. And let's give it a little bit of time. Do you guys use the DVU AI? Let me know. Is there a prompt that you guys really like? So here we go. So it's doing that work for you. So the top 5 themes: semis and chips, and software, defense, aerospace, metals and mining, energy, oil and gas, healthcare, and medtech. This is the emerging theme, biotech. So it's basically looking at that list of themes and doing the research for you and identifying the leading theme. So this is just one use case for DVU AI that I just want to showcase. Cool. And you could use it to summarize earnings reports, find sister stocks. So, if there's a theme you're really focused on, like biotech, you could ask it to find stocks within that theme. Cool. Yeah. So just want to showcase that. All right. Getting back to the routine. So that is what I do. My first sort is by percent change current week if I'm looking at it on a weekend, and then percent change today if I'm looking at this list on a daily view. So that's just to identify the key themes and any outlier stocks that I want to track, later on. Okay. My next sort, and this is now we're getting into actually finding ideas. My next sort is by RMV 15 day. So I click it once, I click it twice. And now what I'm doing is I've got stocks that have the tightest recent ranges on the right side. I'm looking at those first. So there's many ways to sort this overall list. Some people like to sort by industry. Some people like to sort by RS rating or AS rating 1 month. All those are valid. This is just my way of doing things. What you want is a way to systematically do this every single day, so you're finding your type of stock fastest. I sort by RMV 15-day lowest to highest because automatically it's stocks that are tightening up in ranges, and it's showing me those first. And then I look at the overall context of the setup, what theme it's in, and see if I want to add to my watch list. But by looking at the tightest right-hand stocks first, I'm automatically seeing my types of setups first. And that saves me a lot of time. I could just kind of go through these ones because these are more likely to be stocks I want to add to my watch list. And basically that's what I do. So I sort by RMV, 15-day lowest to highest. I'll kind of move this here. So we've got maximum chart real estate. I'll add the stats table. So we've got earnings and sales. I'll add the data panel, which is also fully customizable. So I can see the trend in fund institutions. I've got some key info here: ADR, liquidity, market cap, all of that. And then what I do is I just space bar through, or you can use the arrow keys as well. And if there's a stock that I think that I want to make the next cut, what I do is I hold shift and press space. So what that does is that toggles on and off the select option here. So again, if I spacebar through, let's say BBY, I want to add to my larger watch list, I'll hold shift and press space. Then I'll keep spacebarring through. CPA, let's find one more stock. Let's say a lot of these have moved. MMED, let's say I want to add that to my watch list. I hold shift, press space. So this means hands-free. I can just spacebar through and quickly look at all these stocks. So that really helps speed up the workflow by just allowing you to do everything with shortcut keys and not having to mess with moving your mouse here, selecting this, which you can do if you'd like. But this is a way to do it hands-free. A few other shortcuts that you guys might not be aware of: you can hold shift and press F, and that will add the stocks you've got selected to your favorites watch list. If you hold shift and press P, you add it to your position. So those are pre-made watch lists for you that you designate. You can also do shift 1, and that adds to your color list. So each of these have a number corresponding to them. So those are preset watch lists that you can access with shortcut keys. So as you're doing this, you can speed up your workflows. But personally, for my process, I go ahead and just spacebar through, and I'll shift space to select something, um, stop holding shift, and then keep space barring through. And that's kind of my process. And once you have a few selected, so let's just select a few, you've got these icons that show up. So the right one is add symbols to your watch list. So you can click this, create a new watch list or add it to an existing watch list, or just copy the symbols to your clipboard to share on Twitter or use somewhere else. So that's kind of the icons that show up that allow you to save your selections if you do it my way. And that's how I like to do things. So this is 500 stocks. We're going to go through every single one. I'm going to talk through kind of my raw consciousness as I look through these charts, share my perspective, why I might add a stock to the watch list, why I might not add one. And we'll go through this pretty quickly. So, again, I'll kind of stop on stocks that are pretty significant, or the pattern looks significant or whatever, or I observe something, but we'll go through this pretty quickly. And right now, I'm not trying to build my final watch list. I'm trying to go from 500 stocks to around 30. So I am considering theme and pattern and all of that, but I'm not trying to be extremely selective. That's kind of up to the next step, which we'll get to in a minute. But there's 500 watch lists. Let's see, it's 12:38 right now. Let's see how long it takes us to go through this. So I'm looking in general for stocks either with two main setups: recent gap up, now forming a tight area, or mature base, tight area, and looks like it's going to break out. Or I guess three, trending, pulling back to a moving average, tight area. So those are the three main setups that I'm looking for. So you have your own setups, you have your own entry tactics. So what you decide might be actionable, maybe different than myself, but those are the setups I'm looking for as I set these up. So AIP, just kind of trending. It had an opportunity here, but isn't really set up for my style. Maybe a swing trade opportunity here, but not something I'm looking for currently. APH, a big base, I like that, but could use more of a handle here. It needs a little bit more consolidation. BBY, I'll add this. This is more of a retail, I think, meme play, but it's tight here. You've got a consolidation after a recent gap. AMRZ, I think there's just better opportunities. Chef, not tight enough on the 10 EMA. Good actionable. This is automatically drawn, by the way, this range pivot here. Nice outside day. This has been a great spot, but not my style. Just a buyout here. So again, I'm looking for a recent gap in tightness, a base in tightness, or a pullback in tightness. So recent power move higher, now consolidating. So a lot of the setups I look for share the same thing. You've got a recent move up or a prior strong trend, and now you've got an actionable pattern. So that's what I'm looking for. ICHR, range on the 10 EMA, we'll add this. This is also a semi, so I'm also looking here to see what theme a stock is in. And what I really like about DeepView and the new charts we set up is everything I need is kind of in this square, or this square as well with the fund ownership. I'm looking at the right-hand side. I've got the symbol here with the watermark here. I've got the theme a stock is in. I can look at volume, RMV. I've got the last quarter earnings. I've got the future expectations of earnings here. I've got the fund ownership trend. So everything, I don't have to move my eyes really from this area. And yes, I look at the overall trend, and I kind of like to show about this much price action as I spacebar through. But I don't need to look, and what just happened here? I think I did something. Anyway, I don't have to move my eyes really from that area. So yeah, there we go. Here's ICHR. So what I like is all the real estate I need to look at is right here. It's all in one place. So that just helps speed up the workflows. Again, with DeepView, we're always thinking about how can we save time and make things more efficient? Because if we need to look through 500 names, we need to do it pretty quickly. So that's ICHR. We'll add that for now. KS, just kind of trending. MXL we'll add. This is like an example of prior strong move, now basing, and potentially setting up for a fresh breakout. Sunbee, just breaking down. Oost, I like the tight range. It's also sitting on a big base. We've got the base pivot indicator here, so we'll add that. Roku, I think this is like a acquisition thing, so I'm not going to add it. TH, but if it wasn't an acquisition, I would probably look at it. TH just kind of trending, TVTX just kind of trending, W just trending. Wolf setting up for a low cheat here. And we've got the range pivots being drawn. Look for a pop through the 21 EMA. We'll add that for now. So not trying to be too selective. VCX. Is this an ETF? This is some crazy stock. We'll leave it off. SpaceX will add. Vision. So we've got a big gap down, now consolidation. We'll add it for now, but I'm probably not going to keep this just because the overall pattern. Or we'll just take it off. I don't want to look at it. Okay. JBS bottoming pattern, not really my focus. JBO, I'd like a little bit more of a pause here. This is a biotech though. So again, we're seeing a big move. This is a faster mover name. So swing trade opportunity. We've got a fast move up, now tightening. I'd like a little bit more of a pause here. We'll add it though. We probably won't choose it for the final watch list, but we'll add it here. HLITs looks good. We'll add that. Some of the photonics comm equipment names have been setting up. AGX, so we've got a construction engineering company. The base is kind of whack, but we've got a nice last bar. We'll leave it off for now. I think there'll be better opportunities for that theme. INEO. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go relatively fast through these. AOSL, I would like to see it tighten up a little bit more. It's within a basing pattern. We'll add it for now, but we'll probably keep it off. All right, Beam. So we've got a leading theme here, biotech, and setting up a little bit of a handle here, a range within this bigger base. So we'll add that. And hopefully my raw consciousness kind of helps you guys. Sorry if it's a little too raw. Below MAs, not interesting, just trending. Twilio, looking for a pop here. Software is kind of catching fire a little bit again, so want to keep an eye on. So I'm considering the theme, I'm considering the chart pattern, the context, where's it come from? Has it shown the ability to make big moves in the past? Airline names look good, they're just already trending. So there's no buy point. And that was a big mistake I made early in my trading back in 2019, is I would focus on the right stocks at the wrong time. So I would look for stocks that were really strong, but then I would buy them in the middle of nowhere. And they would just have a normal pullback and shake me out and then go without me. And I was confused. And it wasn't until looking at all my, my trades that I found that AMD will add. Mercy will add upside reversal at the 21 EMA. We'll add this for now. Hut will add. And again, if any leaders show up that look relatively actionable, I'll add them. So what is this stock? This must be a biotech, but recent bio IPO. Let's go ahead and use the AI again. And let's say new chat. And what does ARXS do? Let's see. Okay, so they're not a bio. They're defense and space, commercial aerospace, medical tech. Okay. Extreme environments. Okay. There you go. That's how DeepView AI can help you, is learning more about what a company does. So we'll add that for now. I like the pattern. It probably is one that you want to use lower. Let's see, how liquid is this? This is a $50 million volume, not too bad, but it's a fast mover. So yeah, probably lower position size, but worth looking at. Sale, we've got software turning the corner, but I think there's better software names to look at. Can you share your data panel settings as well? Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Share, copy link. And then here is the data panel settings. Yep, there you go. Okay, cool. And by the way, like any scale things, make sure you're on auto hit here. And in settings, we just updated it so you can scale price chart only. So that's an option to consider as well. And overlapping labels, all that stuff, countdown you can turn off. So we're always adding stuff to DeepView. We're always iterating based on feedback. That's a big thing about us, is we care deeply about making this your favorite platform. So we're listening to your feedback every single day, and shipping fast to improve stability, add features, all of that. Okay, so let's keep going. Keel looks interesting. We'll add that. Brun, this has that look to it. Very fast mover. Brun, I don't know, what does Brun do as well? Let's go ahead and ask, what does Brun do? But we'll add it for now. And I like that you can like leave it running as you keep going. So GPO compute, CPO nodes. Okay, it's a cloud partner. Yeah, we'll keep Brun there. AmbiQ we'll add as well. Let's go back to the data panel. Navin, probably not actionable because it pushed Friday, but I want to add it here for now. Bfly already pushed. Galaxy looks interesting off the 200-day moving average here. We'll put it for now. So not trying to be too selective here. ACLS will add. Cypher will add. Hood, not really interested. Well, it's off the 21. It's below the 200. Not really interested. FTRE, Life Science Tools, does been acting well. We'll add that. TXG, no setup. CLSK, we'll keep for now. Glow, I'd like to see a little bit more pull in versus the base pivot, but we'll add it for now. It was a prior theme leader, so I purchased that a little bit. SNEX will add. All right. And the benefit of sorting by RMV is as we go through, RMV is increasing because we started at the zeros, the tightest right sides, and we saw a lot of expansion Friday. That's why there's not many amazing charts with RMV 0. But as we move down the list, it's less likely that a stock is ready, because if you think about what RMV means, it means there's already expansion. So we're going from the tightest stocks to the most expansion stocks already. So you usually go through the first 150 slower, and then you can speed up as you get more expansion, and they're less interesting setups, basically. RDM, that's kind of interesting for a pop. We'll leave it off for now. Vicar, we'll add this as a top name as well. So some miners, I'm noticing some miners pop up here. We'll add this for now. Checo. All right, CNK just needs to tighten a little bit. HQ. Yeah, a lot of great expansion Friday from tight spots. There's less actual names today. Intel will keep. My MYRG, we'll add that. QNT, interesting recent IPO. GUR will add that. GTX will add that. Riot will add that. Trending, recent gap down, trending. Marvel will add that off the 21 EMA. FTNT, I think it's a laggard a little bit, but we'll add it for now, but probably not keep it. I think Crowd, Okta, those are better. DDOG, those are better merch. Circle pushing. Tem in this bottoming base, no actionable setup right now. MXTR will add that. MTSI, we've already got a lot of semis that look a little bit better, so I'm not going to add that. So you kind of want to have representatives of each theme that you're looking at. So again, you think about what are the leading and developing themes, look for stock opportunities within those themes as you're going through your screens and watch lists. RXD pulling back the 21 EMA, but we'll leave it off for now. Yeah, so if you don't see the setup within the first 2 seconds, it's probably not there if you've got a trained eye. DY tight on the range pivot. We'll add that. AXSM. We'll add that. That's a bio too. That's nice. It's a little bit whippy Friday, but still kind of in that 21 EMA pullback zone. RBRK will add. That's a cyber name. ALAB will add. Band, nice range breakout Friday. And by the way, you could also do this with multiple time frames. I like just using the daily time frame, but if you want to use multiple time frames, go to display. And if you want daily and weekly, daily and 65, just select this and then set up your charts. I personally just like using one daily chart. I do look at the longer term perspective, but I do it more on the daily chart. CoreWeave, it's not my style of trade, but likely there's a reversal trade on. You've got a little bit of extension down, tight day. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. Yeah. So as we go through, less of these stocks are interesting. Peng will add on the 21 EMA because things have already expanded on Friday. So we can go through these last bit pretty quickly. And sometimes I'm listening to the music and I go through charts on beat, but right now I'm just doing it as I see it. And apologies if this is a little bit boring, but this is trading. Trading is a little bit boring sometimes. Well, very tight, but it's a little bit wide and loose, so we'll leave it off. Let's see, pushing. Yeah, so if it's not tight, if it's not set up, you can go through it pretty quick. You might see me like use the arrow keys to go back up to a chart if I go too fast. Dell will add. Dokken will add off the 50 just to see how it acts. DGII broke out Friday. Still not gone. Like it's not out of the woods here. So we'll add it for now just to keep it. You don't have to be too selective again with this first cut. Okay, just keep going. Bros, a lot of these kind of restaurant names are kind of waking up a little bit. Nice action Friday. And Bros, yep, looks good. We'll see if we can set up a longer term trend. Yeah, so a lot of these already expanded. So, apps looks great, but already expanded. We're trying to catch the tightness before the expansion. StubHub, look at that. It's because they're making a lot of money on the World Cup tickets. mRNA, again, was on the watch list and actionable. On the watch list Thursday, actionable Friday for sure. But we've got Beam on the watch list now, so we'll see if that can push as well. AGL still hasn't completely pushed, but was on the watch list here Thursday in the Trade Lab and pushed Friday. So now I think we're RMV 100 already. So a lot of these last ones have already expanded either to the downside or upside. So Coco broke down. So they either broke out or broke down, a lot of these now. So likely these are not going to be going on the watch list. But again, you can kind of see which themes are breaking out or breaking down. So healthcare, we've got semi breaking down, oil and gas pushing a little bit, financial pay services. So again, if you see trends there, that's something to note. Biotech breaking out, snow, software, AI breaking out. That was on the watch list yesterday as well. Look how choppy the Sol. Well, I don't think Souls is solar actually, but that's a choppy chart. We're looking for clean charts. All right, so we're back at the top. So now we've got our selection. We click this plus sign here, create watch list, and I'm gonna call that TL June 28, 2026. We'll put it in the TradeLab stocks, and this is the wide one. So we'll call that wide, click save, and we've got 45 stocks in there. So now we can go ahead, and we've got all those loaded. We went from 500 stocks to 45. And how fast did we do that? We did that in about 20 minutes. And that's with me explaining stuff as well. So that's pretty quick. Now the next step is to go from 50 to 10 to 15, right? So that next level of cut. So we're going to be more restrictive. We want a cleaner, tight setup. We want it to be in a leading theme. We want it to have shown recent power or a prior strong trend, the ability to move. We want it to fit exactly our setups. So we want to be pretty restrictive. So now we're going to go through and only select the ones that are pretty much we would want to trade next week. So ATI, we'll keep that as a minor. And I like to have representatives of themes as well. Dokken, let's add that. And I like to add the leaders pretty much to that larger list, but I keep them in a different section. So they're not really a part of that overall list. RK. Let's see, what's this trend? So pretty good trend, a little stubby base here, but we'll add it for now. MED. How's the overall? So this is an IPO. Interesting. Okay. All right, we'll add that. Interesting. Glow, I would want a few more days. That's why I'm not adding it. It was actionable on Friday on undercut and rally of this, but it would need some more tightness for me to be interested here. Kind of a wacky chart with this bar here and then gaps. So what I'm thinking to prioritize these is how clean is the chart setup? How powerful is the stock? Is it a stock I really would want to put 10, 15% of my account in that I'm comfortable with doing that? That's what I'm thinking about as I'm putting this in. HUT will add. ICHR is a little stubby. Intel will add. Marvel will add. MXL. MYRG will add for kind of the construction theme. Oost will add for now. ALAB will add. AMQ, it's a little bit leaking lower a little bit, and I think MXL is stronger, so we'll put that out for now. Riot will add. Twilio will add. Vicker, I wish this upside reversal was like here, like at this pivot. So we'll leave it off for now. All right. And SpaceX will add. And that's 45. So now what we're going to do is make another watch list. So that was the larger watch list. Now we're going to do TL June 28. TL is for Traderline or TradeLab. Focus. And click save. So now we've got 21 stocks, but a lot of these are leaders. So what I do to make a section is I right click in some space here, add section, and click this to name it leaders. And I can drag all the leader stocks that were on the leaders list here to kind of keep them a little bit separate. There we go. Oh, did I make a new section? I'll just name this leaders and delete that. Okay, so I've got the leaders here. We've got Brun. Just run through this again to see if there's any I want to take off. Oh, Dell should be down here. All right. And this isn't my like best watch list ever because a lot of stuff already pushed. The watch list from Thursday worked great on Friday. There's a lot of stock that have already expanded, but this is the final list. So SpaceX is a leader, but I'll keep it in here for now. But basically, we've gone from 500 plus names to 45 or 50, whatever it was, to now 14 of our focus list. Each day, then, so this is kind of the larger list. Each then, I'll focus on the top 3 or 4 names that I think are the most actionable. So that's they're in the leading theme that I want to be a part of. They've got the cleanest chart pattern. They're probably the most in play. They've got the recent catalyst. So SpaceX is a recent IPO. That's kind of the catalyst. So I'll probably have that one in there. I'll probably have MXL in that focus list as well. AMD I'll probably have as well, just because I love trading this name, and as a representative of the semiconductors is pretty good. And then I'll probably have Beam in it. I don't love the short-term pattern here, but it has the potential to have a really big move in a short amount of time, kind of like an mRNA. So we'll see there. But again, each day I kind of think, okay, this is my larger list. What are the top 3 or 4 names I really want to focus on that day? And sometimes it's only one name. Sometimes it's 2. Sometimes I don't want to trade any at all. But that's kind of the process from going from 500 plus names to 45 to then 15. And again, we're looking at the overall pattern. We're looking at the theme. We're looking at, has it shown the ability to make strong recent moves or strong, powerful moves in the past? Does it have recent catalysts? What does it do? Is there something different about it? Because we're looking for outlier quality setups. So that's what I'm thinking through. Any questions about that selection process? Was it helpful to kind of see me go through this all in real time? Let me know what you think. But yeah, any questions, drop them in the Q&A section here. So the next day, do you start building your days list from this list, or do you start over from the 500? I'll do a mix. I'll do the same process again, because that gives me a lot of situational awareness too. It's not just to find opportunities, it's also to tell me about what themes are working. So I'll do that whole process again. Sometimes I'll just use the DFIO leaders list instead of going through all 500 names. Maybe it's 300. That does a pretty darn good job as well. But that's kind of my overall process. And it probably takes, my routine probably takes about 45 minutes to an hour, but that's also writing the TradeLab report at the same time. So it probably would be about 45 minutes if I was just kind of going through it without all that. Yeah, I can share this list. So I'll go ahead and TL June 28 focus, share, copy link. Yeah, here's that list. And TradeLab members get that list every day. How many positions are you holding max? Max is probably about 8 to 10, probably 8. But I want to stay pretty concentrated in my top ideas. All right. Let's see if there's questions. What do you anticipate futures opening at tonight? I have no idea. Iran, there's some macro news catalysts that are throwing things in the works, and the market does not like uncertainty. So that may impact things as well. But also looking at the QQQ, if we get a big gap down, we're at a key level here. We're already kind of, short term stretched somewhat to the downside. We could get a big reversal day, and that could be a great spot to put risk on with very tight stops. So even a gap down, you don't want to get too negative. You want to kind of think of the opportunities if you've got, your defense already set. So don't get too negative on the market ever. Be an optimist. That optimists prevail, especially in the market over time. So keep that in mind. Okay. Is there any reason for using 21 EMA over others? I found it useful. The 20 SMA, 21 EMA, all those are kind of showing the same structure. So you use what you find helpful. Can you explain the orange lines? So orange lines are my trend lines. So if there's a pivot that I want to mark that isn't auto created based on the base pivots and range pivots, I'll go ahead and draw that with an orange line. So that will be, I'll turn those into alerts. And often I'll put the line a little bit below that level so I can get alerted as it pushes through that level. What about SPY? You can look at that as well. It's not going to tell you much more than the QQQ does. It's going to be pretty much that similar structure. So I just look at the QQQ because it's more related to the stocks that we trade. S&P 500 has a lot of non-tech stuff, so I like the QQQ a little bit more. Do you save stocks in watch list for later, or are you confident that you'll find them again the next day? So all these are saved. So it's saved TL June 28 focus. I have I save all these watch lists each day, and I've got TradeLab stocks watch lists, so I can go back and review all those watch lists as well as I can go actually read back my report from a day. So I can see my watch list and thoughts. That's why the TradeLab report is awesome for my process, because I can learn so much from what I was looking in the moment, read back on my thoughts on individual stocks, on the market as a whole. But yeah, so I save the watch list, and then also the report saves the watch list as well. Uh, choo- choo- choo. Why do you just use one color? My trading style is all about trading compressions and expansions, and one color bars helps me see those contractions a little bit better. And the colors do nothing for my process. I can tell that this is a big down day, but I can see the closes tightening a little bit more if there's less information. So a key thing with your chart setup is you want to keep it clean. You want it, you want nothing to be really extraneous. Like I said, everything on this right side is things I refer to. So if you have a lot of indicators that you don't use, they're just kind of taking away brain space from what matters, which is price action. So for me, a monochrome look works. It's up to you about what you find useful. But I think there's a lot of people in webinars in the past that have switched to monochrome and then they say it really helped them. So, try it out, see what works for you. If you use candles, you can have a setup like this, which is pretty clean as well. But you want to be able to see range contractions and expansions. And that's what the kind of one color look really helps me see. And we just added, by the way, you can change the bar thickness. You can do ultra thin now. Thin is what I like, and then regular, whatever helps you. I like thin personally, but yeah, you can have colors. DFU, you can have colors, whatever you want. But me personally, I just like this monochrome look. And some people have dark mode on in Deep View, and then they use like green as their color. So experiment and find what works for you. That's the best thing. Uh, does the next day's pre-market impact which names you'll focus on more or less on your list? Yes, absolutely. Great question, Alessandro. So if we're gapping down, I'm going to focus more on stocks that are gapping down to a 10 EMA or a prior day's low or a key price level like a base pivot, because they're more likely to have a strong reaction from that open. Or just looking at the overall structure, a gap down could create an opportunity. So yes, what the pre-market does, if we gap up, I'm more likely to wait for it to pull back into the high or the close, unless it's on a catalyst. But if it's just a market gap up, I'm more likely to let it pull back in and then take it, stop at the low of the day. But yes, the pre-market action definitely helps determine which stocks to focus on from this larger list. Good question. All right. We've been going for a while actually, so I'll probably take just a few more here. I'll be doing this pretty much every week, so if this is helpful for you, make sure you guys tune in each week. And overall in the chat, let me know, was this helpful for you? And maybe give me one takeaway that you had from the session. Hopefully it was. It was a little bit longer than usual, but I'm kind of going through my full process, so hopefully it helped you guys. All right. AS versus RS. Absolute strength and RS, they're going to kind of show the same thing. I like AS, which is looking at raw performance change. RS will weight different time frames to help create that rating. But, it's kind of like using the 20 SMA versus the 21 EMA. They're going to be in the same ballpark. Struggling with themes, but better now. Good. Yeah. Use the theme tracker, study it, look at it day to day. That's the best advice I can help you on themes. Can you show how to find pivots to add to a chart automatically? So I use the base pivots indicator and RMV pivots indicator. Base pivots are kind of overall structure, and then RMV pivots are short-term, entry pivots. So those are the two indicators that I add. To add it to your chart, just go up here, go to indicators and type in base pivots to add that one. And then RMV pivots, type in RMV, and it's the RMV pivots here. RMV just adds this indicator to your chart, which is helpful as well. Cool. All right. I think that's pretty much it for today. Thank you guys so much for spending part of your weekend for me. With me. I appreciate it immensely. Again, hopefully this was valuable. You took away at least one thing, whether it's using the AI or how I sort my screens. And hopefully that gives you some ideas for how you can streamline your workflows. Again, DeepView, we're building in all these things to help make your process more smooth, faster, all of that. I didn't even talk about kind of the mini charts, which is another whole way to go through your watch list. But if you're not already a DeepView member, I'd highly recommend checking us out. Again, email hello@deepview.com and mention the webinar offer, and we'll make you a great deal to get started. If you're interested in the Trade Lab is basically my daily homework every single day, going through this process, doing all this work, and sharing my thoughts on the market, themes, and my watch list for the next day. In addition to that, I have a lot of built-in educational resources, from courses to monthly webinars. I'm going to be scheduling the June one actually very shortly. We're going to be going over a case study of one key stock, likely SNDK, and breaking down the setups, the position management, the how would you get it on your radar in the first place, a live webinar going through basically distilling that into a blueprint we can apply to future trades and ideas. So with the Trade Lab, my focus is not just to kind of give you a watch list, it's to teach you a process and system from how I do things. So the live webinars, all of that, it's all about process, teaching people to fish. And I highly recommend it. I work very hard to make that the best resource possible. And like I said, the next webinar will be pretty shortly. So there's a great time to join and check it out. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and email richard@traderlion.com and mention Trade Lab in the email. And I can tell you a little bit more about it, send a sample report if you'd like. But yeah, just email richard@traderlion.com. I'll put it in the chat. .com. And yeah, mention the Trade Lab. So email me, Jonathan. Don't put in the chat here. Email me at richard@traderlion.com and mention Trade Lab in the subject line, and that you're interested in checking it out. And I'm happy to walk you through, what everything, what's involved with the Trade Lab. But definitely recommended checking it out if you haven't already. We have a bunch of members in here, which is awesome. So glad, so great to see you guys. And like I said, I'll be doing the next live webinar. Those are monthly. Pretty soon on SNDK, really breaking down that stock. And we've done a lot of great ones in the past. So NVIDIA, AMD, BE was a recent one, Robinhood. We break down all those moves, the key setups, how to get involved, to learn the process of how to catch them in real time. The best way to catch great stocks in real time is to study previous great ones, previous cycles, and that's what those webinars are all about. So again, yeah, email richard@traderlion.com, and we'll go ahead and be in touch there. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in. Appreciate it again. Hope this was helpful. And have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the World Cup games if you're watching them today. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.